So the Honda Insight was actually escorted to the Honda dealership to resolve the seatbelt issue. That was actually an expensive lesson for me. I had to rent a U-Haul car transport, borrow a friend's truck to drive it over there. So there's a number of things wrong with the car, and I'm looking at it right now. It's kind of in a sorry shape. So this is one of the things about project cars. Sometimes every time you touch them, they get worse rather than better. And this car is one of those. So the issue that I'm dealing with right now, the dealership did give me a list of things that need to be fixed. And the price they quoted me was ridiculous. So I decided not to go that route. They did resolve the SRS light coming on, so the seat belt seems to be okay now. But that was an expensive diagnostic test. And they gave me this list of, I don't know, a dozen or so items that need to be addressed. So anyway, the issue that I'm working on now is that when I got the car, I put it onto a U-Haul car transport, and that was tricky because when we got it, getting out of the Honda Insight while it was on a transport was very difficult for me. I'm a tall guy, and let me kind of show you what was going on with that. So one of the issues is that the rear tires are closer together than the front tires. So you had to be very careful as you're driving it up the ramp, because the rear tires have a non-zero significant chance of falling off the ramp. So that was tricky. Also, when I got to the top, the wheel well actually blocked the door right at this level. So I could not actually open the door, which gave me the option of coming out the window, but there was nothing for me to come out the window to, and going out the back. But stepping over the electric system in the back was a little more dicey than I wanted to, because I'd have to step into this wheel well down there at the bottom, which was quite a step, even for a tall guy like me. The end result was that I had to rely on a friend who sort of caught me as I clambered out the window. I had to go back first like a Fosbury flop, if you know your pole vaulting. That was nerve-wracking. That took about a half hour for me to arrive at that decision, and it was more than a little anxiety producing. The next issue is when we got it back and we drove it off the lift, the front bumper caught. So we actually ended up ripping this front bumper off, but we didn't rip the whole front bumper off. It's actually caught at a screw right behind us. And it's very hard to access that screw. I actually ended up buying an attachment for the drill, but that's not quite working either. I'm gonna have to, because I can't see exactly where it fits into the screw. The only thing I have is this screw over here, exists on the other side. Oh, one other thing is I ended up ripping out a bunch of the plastic bits when getting it off the ramp, and the fender caught. So my next step is to remove this fender entirely, to repair the plastic. It's just plastic. And then reattach. That's going to be fun. I will kind of step you through it. So right now, to get to this screw, that round screwdriver fixture is not really helping a lot. Got it from Amazon. So if you'll notice down here, there's a panel that is screwed in, and I think what I'll try to do is remove this panel, this one right here, and I'll remove that one, and then I will remove the one on this side, and maybe that will give me better access to that screw over there. I'm actually a little more than disheartened. Seems like every time I touch this guy. Oh, you'll notice all the oil. Yeah. So it wasn't something that was immediately obvious, but there was a oil leak, and it's gotten progressively worse. So I'm going to have to resolve that as well. It's one of the things they listed, and I'm not sure if they fixed it or tried to fix it or what they tried to do, but anyway, it's worse now. And it's actually, before I took it in, it was semi-drivable, but it's not really drivable right now. I'll try to document this as I go along. When you have to work on the underneath part of your car, you have to be able to jack it up. So the Honda Insight has 3 jack points on either side. You'll see that's one there, that little strip just above the jack. That's the forward passenger side jack point. And let's see if we can get to this other one. Oh man. So I have to get under the Honda Insight to do some work. And I thought I'd take a moment to explain how you jack it up. First of all, if you're gonna jack up the car at all, you want to put a chock. That's what this thing here is called, a chock. So that the back wheel doesn't move when you're trying to jack up. There's one on both sides behind the rear wheel. And I've jacked up the front. I'm in the mid-process of that. This is actually kind of a defense in depth kind of thing. You have to be really careful of these guys here. I've actually had this move out, kind of be shoved out that way because the wheel was pushing on the inclined plane. Ideally, I'll be able to turn this around and have the wheel sitting in that part. But as you can tell, the ramp here is going to get in the way of the jack unless I turn it around, and even then the wheel isn't high enough to let me slide that underneath. So how do you go about doing that? Well, you'll need a jack. This is called a jack. That's called a jack stand. This is called the jack. And the way it works is you maneuver it so that this pad here, this pad right here, is going to be touching the mid jack point. And let's see. And it's hard to see. I actually don't need to do it. But basically what you want to do with this kind of jack, it's pneumatic, which means there's oil in there and you're applying pressure to pump the oil to lift the arm. Let me show you how you do that. So I've twisted this in a clockwise fashion, and now when I pump, you should notice this raising. And if this is not closed off, that will immediately fall back to the ground. But it's a 1.5 ton jack, which the weight of the car is less than a ton, so that should be fine. This is 1.5 tons. And once you've pumped this up to sufficient height, then you can slide the jack under the forward jack point. And then once that's there, well, all you do is you release this, you twist this counterclockwise, and notice what happens to the jack when I turn it counterclockwise. There you go. And all I did to do that was I twisted this counterclockwise. And if I'm going to pump again, I'll twist it again clockwise until it stops. So that's how you jack the car up. And you do that on both sides to access the car. Safety. This is, I've been doing this really slow, because if I'm going to be underneath there, I want it to be safe. First of all, that's a 3-ton jack, so it should be able to handle half of a ton. And I put one on the the passenger side, and I jacked up the driver's side. I put one on the driver's side, so the whole thing should be level, and it appears to be. I'm going to have to jack up this even more to get access, to be able to slide this. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 180 on it, and then move that underneath that tire. Defense in depth. That's my way of making sure it's safe. Also, I put it out here, and then I let it sit for a day to make sure that nothing was going to break. And then another thing you can do is shake the car. See if anything's happening. No, nothing's happening. The why, as to why I have to jack up the car, is, I loaded the car onto a car trailer to get it to the dealership, have them take a look at it. That's another story I'll go into. But when I was taking the car off of the trailer, the front here got hooked, and it was actually partially ripped off. So I had to do a little temporary fix here using zip ties to attach the front to the car itself. And one of the reasons, there are many reasons, but one of the reasons why I want to get in here is this part here, this one right here, was left alone. So I have to get in there to disconnect it so that I can remove the whole front. And I thought, while I have that off there, I'm going to try to fix it, make it look a little better.